Welcome in to another episode of Profits Picks. We have one game on the slate today. Pretty much one game the rest of the way, unless they somehow link back up again. We'll see if somebody takes a break or somehow something. But Boston Celtics versus the Miami Heat. We're going to look at a side, we'll look at the total, and then we'll look at a few player props as well. So, Boston Celtics opening as a 2.5 point favorite. Line currently sitting at 3.5. Total opening 210.5, and we're currently seeing 211.5. And first of all, I'll say I do agree with the move on the total. But if I like points, I probably like it more in the first half. In the second half, you seem to these teams seem to just lock down and play a slower game. So if you like points in this game, first half is probably where you want to go. I think the number was 105. Maybe it's ticked up just a little bit now, but that's the way that I'll go if you're looking at the over. If you like the under, I think you want that second half in there because Boston second half unders have been money for a little bit of time now. And as far as pace, if I mean the adjustment or I don't know adjustment that Boston made that I noticed, they put Smart on Dragic, and that's what I've been kind of thinking that they should do the entire series, and that bothers them. And you have to take away what you can take away from Miami. That's something that they can take away. How can Miami counter that? We'll see how Spoelstra does that, but maybe they play a little bit faster. Maybe they try to not let it be so half court. So I could agree with that for the over. And as far as the Boston side, Hayward, he gives their offense some versatility. Cantor, he can come in if maybe Miami wants to play zone or whatever the case may be. Cantor's an offensive minded player who can get some buckets. So I trust points to be scored in this game. So I'll probably lean more towards that first half over. And if I'm looking at the side, you know, this one is a little tough. And also, I have to say this about the total. Miami shot less than 30% from 3 point in the last game, and they're one of the top two 3 point shooting teams. So I don't necessarily expect them to shoot that poor again. And even with that, they got over the numbers. So they seem to get their way, as my friend Rob Vino says, they find their way to 106. And if they do that, I think this game gets up and over. And the other thing I want to look at it, if you like Miami in this game, you like them maybe for that same reason. They shot less than 30% in their last game. You don't really see it happening again. In this situation, they're 9-1 against the spread this season. Average line was minus 5.8. They covered that by 5.64 points per game. So Miami's bounced back after bad shooting performances. Do I trust them to do it here? It's tough. Usually in this game, I would trust it. But this game's a little bit different because they're giving them 4 days off in between. And I'm not so sure that it benefits the Heat. I think it benefits Boston more because Boston just played a 7 game series and they're coming in limping into this one. Hayward finally getting introduced back into the game. He played one game and his ankle is feeling sore. Now he gets 4 days to recover. The team gets to recover. They get to rest up from that previous series. I think it favors Boston, the extra rest in this game. So I think we'll see a nice looking Hayward again, and that's a little bit of a key for Boston's success versus Miami, especially if Miami plays zone. Another thing I like in this game, or another thing that's a red flag maybe for Miami, Boston had more turnovers than Miami. Boston had 14 turnovers in that previous game. They still found a way to win by double digits. And majority of that is because they figured out how to score on the zone. They outscored them, 60 to 36 in the paint or whatever the case may be. Boston was getting easy buckets. And in this game, Boston, looking at this angle, Boston coming off of a game where they had 14 or more turnovers, they are 19-4-1 against the spread. Average line was 2.8, covered that by 5.96 points per game. So that's another reason to like Boston there. another angle here, and we're gonna look at we looked at an angle for Miami, we looked at an angle for Boston. Now I'm just looking at this spot right here, and I'm looking at just teams in the playoffs in Game Four. They lost the first game, Game One. They lost the Game Two. They won the third game. They were still a favorite in the third game, and they won that game. They're 15-4 against the spread. Average line was minus 2.1, and they covered by 4.47 points per game. Who is that? That's Boston. So I like Boston to even it up here in the series. Off of the 4 days rest, if they don't do it here, I think they may be toast for the series. And I think the rest advantage combined with them having that many turnovers and getting away with it, I don't think that happens again here. I like Boston here in this game, minus the 3.5 points. And if we're gonna look at some player props, who are the guys I want to play on? For Boston, it gets a bit tricky since they introduced Hayward to the lineup. He takes away a little bit of everything from everybody else. So we're wait and see mode on Boston to see how we gauge where those numbers should be. Maybe if you like unders, if you're thinking the player is going to have a tough time in particular, I think it's a good game to jump on that. But I just don't see one. So I look towards the Miami side, and my favorite, or the one I look towards the most, the player to play on, is going to be Tyler Hero. I think he can play on his rebounds because if Miami plays that zone, he's usually in the back of it, in the forward and center, or whatever the case, they're up top. So he's getting the rebounds back there. His rebound total was at 4.5 or 5. I think that's a good look right there. His point total is at 14.5. He comes in and gives Miami a spark. Um, I think that's definitely doable right there. And his 3 point number is 2.5. I saw it at either plus money or maybe a small minus number. He's going to come in and he can hit a couple of big shots, a couple of big threes, especially if he's feeling it. He's not shy to put it up. So that's a guy that I'm looking to play on if maybe like Miami or in general. I'm just looking to play Hero. And who am I looking to play against on Miami? I'm looking to play against Dragic. Like I said, they put Smart on him. If they continue to do that and limit him, I think you can hold him under that 19 points. And I think that's the key to success for Boston. So I'll rock with Dragic under 19 points. Lastly, if I'm looking at one more player to play on, it's going to be Bam. At the end of the day, Boston is still a smaller team than Miami. And if they get out of that zone, Bam will probably be a lot closer to the rim, snagging up those rebounds. Spo's going to make some adjustments. That's the thing that we don't know exactly what the adjustment is going to be. Is it going to switch the defense up and make them play more man? I tend to think that he will go that route. In that case, Bam may be closer to the rim and getting that 10.5 rebounds. There's nobody to really challenge him on Boston, in my opinion. So he should get the 11 rebounds, especially if you like Miami. I think that's a key for Miami's success. And those are the ways that I'm looking. I'll do a quick recap. For this game, I'm looking at the over 211.5. I'm looking at Boston minus the 3.5 points. And I'm looking at Hero, whether it's rebounds, 4.5 over, points, 14.5 over, maybe even his 3 pointers, 2.5. Then we're looking at Dragic under 19 points, Bam over 10.5 rebounds. Thank you for rocking with me on another episode of Profits Picks. Best of luck if you tell. Good luck on all of your action. We have another game tomorrow, so let's try to make some money on that one, and I'll catch you guys then.